is basically the rise to power that Hitler had. To give it a full recap, while attending an extravagant party on the capital world of Constantine, you were also indulging in an auction for a valuable piece of material. Maps known as the Lion Heart Fragments, which show passage beyond the warp rifts on the galactic edge into the very depths of the Halo stars. Unfortunately, you were not victorious at the auction. Neither were many of the other attending partygoers, and it looks like someone has taken that into their own hands when a bombing on the landing bay deck has gone awry, and the stasis-locked container, which holds the Lionheart fragments, has been carted off with by some ne'er-do-wells. You, in turn, have rushed back to meet with the captain, who, after said ne'er-do-wells, took a pause to gun down many of the patrons at the party with a rattle of stubber fire. You've decided to take chase. Fortunately for you, your erstwhile pilot, Palladorius, was already warming the engines of your personal Aquila lander on the landing pad. Now you simply need to get to him. We'll rejoin you specifically as the captain hurries out after you as the gunfire rippled through the interior of the party and took the chase after you. You will follow them through one of the many locking doors of the party's affair, but here you will notice almost immediately that many of the windows have begun blocking themselves out with reinforced metal shutters, and as the warnings blare throughout the facility, you realize that the estate that you've been so lovingly contained within and is clearly going into lockdown. Red emergency lights take precedent as you rush out towards the airlock at the bottom of the facility, where almost immediately you find it unresponsive. One of the bellboys cowering behind one of the many statues that line the corridor to one side.
I'm going to look for an interface panel.
Okay. It's easy enough to find. I'm not going to require a check to spot an interface panel, as they're pretty easily accessible for the servitors that bust about this place regularly. I imagine then you're wanting to try and simply break the security of the
yeah.
compound?
Open this door, damn it.
Is that the prayer to the machine spirit, specifically? Open this door, damn it. Amen.
Let's see. Where's my tech use? Any modifier?
I'm going to apply a +0 because the security system is relatively
adequate.
Inadequate, more so.
Fair enough.
You'd expect a password-protected thing to be challenging at least, but it's barely a threat to your knowledge. And so, without so much as having to disturb one of the passing boys, or even simply force your way through the large sealed airlock, a simple touch of your electu and a few recited cants of unlocking has the machine spirit kowtowed to your will, and in a few moments the doors slide open, greeting you with a blast of that soot-packed air above the Hive cities. The ship is idling on the platform a short step away, and I imagine you're simply going to sprint to it. And I'm going to guess, Palladorius, that you have the ramp down?
Yep, but pretty much I'm just waiting for them.
Right. Am I right in that assumption?
Yeah, the ramp is down.
Yeah, I'm just asking for everyone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sprinting.
We're running.
Okay, so the captain keeps good pace as you all clank up the rear step of the ship, and soon enough you've all made your way into the confines of the Aquila lander. The captain immediately hooks his hands on the supporting railing about the observation dome and smacks you on the shoulder, Palladorius, with an urge of, "Go on, get moving!" Open the Auspex up and see if you can spot them. They shouldn't be too hard to find.
I strap myself in tightly.
Same here.
Yeah.
Same.
So he lifts up the
Falling
ram and
definitely.
brings up the Auspex to try to find the ship.
Okay, so I'm imagining you're also going to dust off from the landing pad.
Yep.
Do you want to give me a nice and very easy pilot check at a plus 30?
Plus 30, okay.
The emergency exits are located here.
So I'm trying to remember this Voidcraft or spaceship.
This is Voidcraft.
Yeah.
If you find yourself in a crash at sea, you will find a life preserver beneath your seat.
Given the fact this planet is 99% sea, that's very fortunate.
You may inflate it using the piper.
You may inflate it using the servitor provided for inflating it.
It's just a skull with a pair of bellows on it.
No, that would clearly be a servo skull. I said a servitor. This is a man with working lungs here who's been
Tiny
forcibly lobotomized specifically for inflating life jackets.
Okay,
So, do you want to give us
now
that
why the
pilot
roll thing is not coming up for me?
Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't come up for me either.
Okay, I just have to type it in. No.
I'll just give it another click because it's going to be a significant issue if it doesn't work for the entire game.
Good point.
I am giving it a mini clicks and it's not doing anything for me.
Do you want to try refreshing your roll 20?
Yeah, let me try reconnecting.
I'm going to assume, safety's sake, that you've managed to dust off from the landing pad without much difficulty. Honestly, we can probably leave that generally. But what I am going to need, my dear pilot, is, of course, an all specs check. So that is going to be with the crafts. Oh, I don't suppose small crafts have a detection rating. That's something that should really be done. I'm just going to assume that they're... I guess it would just be...
Have radar?
No, I'm not going to argue that they don't have radar. I'm just going to argue that they don't have any bonuses to making a check with their radar.
Right.
Can I offer some kind of assistance to that check?
Yes. If you'd like to give me a tech use check, you'll also be able to offer assistance in things like getting the ship to go faster, to a certain degree at least.
Guess you got to get up out of your chair for that, though.
Yes, you're going to have to get away a chair to do whatever you want anyway.
That's fine. I was going to help with the auspexing scan, and there's my roll.
Well, I mostly mean for the fact that the ship doesn't have anything but
Okay,
pilot
that's
seat.
weird. The skills won't work, but the skills rolls work. So I'll just use agility. Yeah.
The skills? Do you mean the characteristics work?
Yeah, the characteristics works, but like the skill, but roll.
Hold on a second. Let me just check with your character sheet. Best to resolve this sooner rather than later.
Wait,
So
you
that
mean like the
was
basic-
this would be a pilot flyer check, not a pilot spacecraft check. You're not in space.
Yeah, that's what I was trying. Pilot Voidcraft.
No, pilot flyer. You're in atmosphere.
Oh, flyer. Yep. No. It's like no matter what skill I click
Works
on,
for me.
it will not show me anything.
Oh, you're not getting
you
the
mean
pop-up.
like
Yeah, I'm not getting the pop-up.
wait, I think I know what this is. It's the basic and advanced skills, right?
Yeah.
It's advanced skills.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I do those on my iPad, which works. So try using it on a different device.
That's weird. All my stuff's working
Just
just
break
fine.
out your iPad.
Yeah.
It's like
Everyone's
iPad or
got one
phone,
of
like
those.
could probably work.
Anyway, like I said, we're going to simply assume that the ship has dusted off successfully. So, unfortunately, do you have scrutiny?
Scrutiny? I don't believe I do.
No? Okay, so we're just going to have to rely on awareness then. Because scrutiny really should be it, but for some reason it's never given out as a basic skill. Well, it is a basic skill, but it's never given out enough.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, scrutiny is like, yeah, I don't have that, but I do have awareness.
Yes, so I'm just going to use awareness in this case. Given it's on a smaller scale, I can probably put it down to awareness anyway, that you're just looking for auger pings regardless. Yep. So with Utobix boosting the bandwidth on the Auspex array, could you please give me a awareness check at a plus 20?
Okay, so I can't do it with the basic skills, but I luckily can do the perception roll. So where's the perception? So plus 20.
What number is your
What?
awareness at? Oh wait, actually, no wait, never mind. That wouldn't work anyway.
Yeah, the pilot has to make these checks anyway, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, you fortunately find your target very easily. The airspace around this lone spire is relatively clear, and it's very easy to spot a vessel moving at high velocity. But it's moving at high velocity indeed, so you're going to need to catch up to the ship. Now, Utobix, you again can offer some assistance here at obviously a small risk to the vessel. If you don't succeed, you could very easily damage its engines as you try and push it. But, as said, you could probably boost the vessel's speed with, I would say, I'd argue it would be a technomat check or an armorer check, because it's a little more mechanical than simply coaxing the machine spirit.
Sure. Yeah. Can I do that as a technomat?
Technomat, yes.
Okay. And what was the modifier you said again?
It's going to be a -10 if you want to try and coax new speed out of the ship.
I will attempt.
Okay. Hey, that's a grand success. So, as the vessel dusts off and the Auspex locks in its target, you immediately take to fiddling about with what little mechanical access you can get, and leaning over the pilot's shoulder as he begins to set up a pathing solution to your target, you manage to trigger the injection of oxygen into the RX-40 rocket engines that power this Aquila lander. And with a furious roar, the vessel is given a new birth of life. So, to catch up, Polydorius, it would typically be an opposed piloting check at a +0, but thanks to Utobix again, an overabundance of oxidizer, you do that at a +20.
Yay.
Targets +0.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it on my phone, and then it's not even allowing me to do it on my phone. Nah. So I have no idea what's going on with my character sheet right now. So
Is it not just hiding the input value? Are you tapping onto the rain screen? Because it's very easy for it to, like when you click for your character sheet, for it to pop up the input value submission, but not actually see it. It'll typically hide it behind the character sheet or something.
I'll try. Let me see.
So just like click on one of the skills and then close your character sheet.
Okay, so nope, not. It's not even giving me the pop up when I do any of the skills.
Strange.
Very strange, but luckily I can just use my agility. Yeah.
Fair enough.
For it because I have normal.
Yep, you've got your bonuses in it.
Yep. So agility +20.
Oh, wow. I rolled a natural 1. Fortunately, though, Polydorius, despite the impressive skill of your opposing pilot, you managed to catch up in good haste, and it's not very long before you start to draw your enemy's craft within your sights.
Yeah.
Popping up onto the radar screen, you have them at a good long distance from you as the vessel starts to close. Just punching the microphone. So,
again, okay.
yeah, apparently. So, you've now closed the distance and you've locked onto your enemy's tail, matching his little ducks and dives as the smaller and markedly slower Arvus lander is weaving its way towards the center block of the city. You can only imagine at the core of this massive sprawling hive is the spaceport, or perhaps at the other side. Regardless, it seems they're very intent on losing you amongst the serried spires that reach towards the skies of Constantine. The captain is still leaning partially in and partially out of the observation dome, hanging onto its rails and leaning over your shoulder. on the other side to the tech priest, who's been practically on top of you this short chase, as the rest of you strap yourselves in the rest of the vessel. As you do sweep closer to the vessel, the captain urges, at least kind of, let's say, offering a rhetorical thought to the air, and asking merely, should we risk shooting at it? The autocannon on this thing shouldn't...
Depends if you want to have it crash in the city right now or later.
Oh, well, I don't... Sooner is rather than later. The issue is shooting down something with precious cargo aboard. It typically comes with obvious risks, wouldn't you say?
Maybe we could find out which landing pad is theirs, my lord.
I don't imagine now that we've got them in our sights that they're going to be willing to really give up the ghosts so soon, would you? Or at the very least not lead us straight into a trap.
To be fair, Captain, they probably have less fuel currently than we do, and will have to put down before we do. Just a matter of time.
Or we could make them think that they've lost us.
Entirely possible. Or we could take a shot at it. I mean, that box did look pretty strong, didn't it?
Very true.
It did, but where would it land is the problem.
Do you think a single crashing Arvis lander is really going to make a difference to a Hive city's day-to-day running? I'm sure it'll be fine.
More about how we will retrieve it, my lord.
Fair point.
Give the order, sir, and I will open fire.
I read Mr. Confident.
The captain seems lost in thought for a short second, and in that short second of idle thought, the Arvis itself is attempting to weave out of your way. The vessel is immediately banking hard to one side around one of the Gothic spires of another compound cathedral of sorts that sits out on this spur of land that the governor's palace was originally upon. Sorry, not the governor's palace, the rear admiral's palace was originally upon. So the vessel itself attempts to lurch to one side, which it does with impressive grace for an Arvis lander. It looks worryingly like your enemy has a good grasp of the controls. So as he jinks to one side, Palladorius, you're going to need to give me a check to try and keep up the chase. Unfortunately, your excess of speed isn't going to really help you here. It's your maneuvering skill, which you have a flat +10 to.
Yeah, flat +10.
Oh, hell. Can you do it? Oh.
We're waiting with bated breath.
Trying to think of what else I could do too. Accent.
Yeah.
Capabilities.
By a
Nice.
single percent, you narrowly keep on the tail of the vessel as it ducks and weaves to one side, plunging itself down towards the city's streets, if you could call them streets, more tangled packs of railway lines and strange, narrow little corridors between the buildings. But all the same, they offer a winding, tight interior that both of your vessels are sweeping around in your tailed chase. But soon enough, as the vessel pulls itself through this winding abyss, the vessel ahead of you is slowly coming closer and closer into your view. Your targeting reticle has settled on it, and you are definitely within range on your autogun. Autocannon, my apologies.
Oh my.
Slight difference in caliber.
Yes, just a small difference.
All different
Hold the fire, hold the
holes
fire.
or
Just-
baseball holes in the ship.
Yes, hold fire for now. Just to keep up the chase. We'll see where it... And the
Aye,
captain
sir.
pauses a little. as likely do you, Palladorius, and possibly you as well. I don't know how much attention you'd be giving to the chase itself there, Utobix, or rather the machine spirit itself. But both of you are at least caught off guard when the vessel ahead of you seems to be taking a drastic action. And that's because the rear ramp is starting to lower.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. They're going to shoot us with their stubber.
Yes, I teased it in the last episode with the fact that the vessel's rear door slams down to a flattened surface, and hauling it onto the rear platform is a bulky-looking thug with his weapon partially mounted against the rear support of the vessel, and a long chain of stubber rounds spooling off behind him to the clustered interior of the vessel's back, well, I suppose more of sorts. And he will almost immediately line up a shot. But in the meantime, it's maneuvering first, then shooting. So his maneuvering is going to be generally trying to stay on your tail as the gunner launches gunfire out of the rear. So let me just check his possibility of success.
He's trying to stay on our tails while he shoots
more,
up the back.
No, obviously he's not trying to stay on your tail. But what I mean by is, yes, he's keeping the vessel stabilized so that he can line up a shot.
I'm with you.
He's keeping.
Like it was flying backwards.
Yeah, he's keeping his tail on us.
Yes. So it's an opposed, challenging +0 pilot test between you and the pilot there, Palladorius.
What am I rolling for?
It's a flyer's check, so just a +0.
Yeah.
Oh, another 1.3. Ooh, a grim roll there. Ooh. Okay, so with that, the vessel is trying its best to stay as stable as possible, but just as it does, you watch with perhaps some degree of glee as the gunner begins opening fire when the vessel lurches horribly to one side and throws him spiraling about the rear of the ship. The poor man at the rear gun scrabbles for the handles of the gun as stubber fire rakes up at the side of one of the passing buildings before tumbling out of the back of the vessel and sweeping past yours on his doomed fall. So there will be shots fired at your vessel this round, but believe me, they don't stand much a chance of hitting. But in turn, you get the opportunity to, it's a -20 when firing, but fired at a full auto. But you are going to be treated as if you had successfully jinked from your enemy. So that is going to apply a total of a -30 with only a +10 in total from firing fully automatic as gunfire streaks out towards your ship. Oh, but a blow does indeed land.
Oh my god.
Fortunately for you, even with a penetration of 3, that isn't enough to puncture the forward arc of your armor, and you get nothing more than a crack running along the windscreen of the vessel, which draws a thrown from the captain, as gunfire generally is sprayed around the back of the vessel. In turn, it's now your turn. If you want to attempt to catch up to your opponent, or perhaps return fire, you can attempt all sorts of things, such as speeding up, side-slipping, or jinking to avoid gunfire in the next turn.
Do we have any other doors on a ship besides the back ramp?
No, there's only the back ramp on this vessel.
I think I'm going to attempt. What do you think, guys? A shooting? Thinking shooting.
I mean,
Just shoot at it.
It's that, or you fly above it, open the ramp, and we attempt to board it, which is about as risky as what that man was trying to do without a tether.
I certainly do appreciate your psychopathy, Utobix, though I don't think anyone here is willing to volunteer for a mission like that. Though the captain does leave a pause, as if hoping for someone to throw in an interjection. Which, if no one does, he will simply say, "Line up a shot."
Okay, lighting up shots, sir. Warming up the guns and firing.
Yes, it will be. I'm not going to need you to make I'm going to need you to make another pilot check for on his tail if you want to get a better chance of shooting at him.
Yep. So I'll do that. So that'll be regular or any pluses to that.
That is going to be a +0 pilot test.
Yay.
But your vessel gives you a plus.
Oh my god! No. Why do I always? I'm using a fate point to re-rolling that.
Please do.
Yeah, but please do not crash us into a spire. God damn it.
There we go.
Much better.
Much better.
Okay, let me just roll a d10 to see if I get my fate point back. Nope, I do not.
So, with the captain's hand on your shoulder, Palladorius, he urges, right, line up a shot, aim for her engines, don't try and fire directly into a cargo bay, and keep it single shot. That autocannon packs a mean punch, and I don't want to punch straight through the thing. We just want to knock it nice and gaily down to somewhere we can pick apart the spoils. So you'll be firing at a +0 with your autocannon, if it has a single shell option. I don't know. I think I put it in your character sheet, didn't I, Palladorius?
Let me double check. I don't think so, but I can check.
Check your ranged weapons. Yeah, it's in there.
Range weapons.
Cipramundi pattern autocannon.
Yeah, Paramount autocannon. It does have single fire, 2 shots or 5 shots.
It does have single fire then. Well, you can either disobey the captain's orders and fire fully automatic or semi-automatic, or fire a single shot at a +0.
I am going to shoot at a +0. Whoa.
Okay, take the shot.
Yeah!
Hey, very nice. Let's see then. Let me just... Oh, bugger, I forgot to open one of my books. Oh, aren't I useless, boys?
Just check
you are.
Put down the
Thanks,
damage in here.
Fucking
No problem.
damn it. Fuck.
Yeah, you put the damage in here. I can do a damage roll, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll just give me a second and I'll get you everything I need for that. I literally just have to... Oh, only a 19. Where is it? In the storm.
Jesus Christ, I'm fucking terrible at this.
What?
You know what? I'm not even gonna mention it right now.
No recording?
No, it's recording. I'll let you figure it out later.
I am gravely concerned.
We should be.
I think he gets something that he could have done, and he just realized he could have done it now.
So let me just check this a little bit here.
Yep.
Where is it? Scrolling furiously in the background.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
No, we need to fill this dead air, so you're going to tell us exactly what you've done wrong.
Yes, what did you do?
Yeah.
I realized a few minutes ago when I was trying to fix Verana's cam being down, I had left Dave with the settings tab open, and only just now were they able to see the last 6 or 7 rolls actually on the record screen.
Marvelous work there, marvelous work.
Yeah, it's only the part of the show they actually come to watch. It's not a big deal.
I am just so glad that my reroll did not fuck up.
Yeah, that you didn't crash headlong into the side of a building. That would have been something that would have been very unfortunate.
Especially when you had a literally 1 in 2 chance on a D100.
Well, given that a 100 means that the vessel crashes basically automatically, you really didn't want that. Okay. So, with that shot, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to do much for the vessel, and your shot isn't as wise as the captain would have liked, as you watch as the autocannon round punctures right into the interior of the vessel's back door. You watch it glance off the heavy stubber at the gateway, and out from the rear comes a spattering of blood. Looks like you hit flesh at the back of the ship, which fortunate to some degree, unfortunate to another, as it now speckles the visor of the vessel with a soft rain of crimson, and doesn't seem to have done anything to slow it down as you continue to hold the chase on it.
That's less guys to worry about when it lands.
At least it wasn't the map, eh, Captain?
Well, yes, I guess there is a bright side to this. Now try and keep your shots on the engine, Palladorius.
Aye, sir.
Else I will volunteer you to leap aboard the thing.
It wouldn't be the first time, Captain.
So, now the enemy vessel is starting to draw closer into your sights. You're close enough to it, essentially, that you're starting to pick out the features, and you can see the golden sheen of the gun case sitting in the interior. Not gun case, the
Map fragment case.
The what?
The map fragment case.
Yes, the mag, blah, 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 blah. Yes. The stasis lock container.
Joined servitor thing.
Yes, which seems to have been chained to the interior of the vessel from what you can see at this distance, though that is talking for the pilot, given that everyone else is kind of looking over his shoulder. So again, they are this time going to attempt to jink out of the way of any incoming fire. Which they do not succeed. They don't give you any bonuses in the jink there. So, would you like to... so at the same time, the gunner is going to stamp up onto the rear. Well, not the gunner. The gunner fell out a few rounds back. But one of the few survivors in the back of the now harried gunship is going to take control of the clipped heavy stubber and try and train it on his targets. Now, again, it's just a +0 because he is firing normally, and I think a jink... Yeah, he's got a -10, so that is a total of a -10 as he fires at, I think, let's see what the range is at from your ships. Yeah, he's within short range. So that is just a +0. By the way, you will now also be in short range for your autocannon, giving you another +10.
Yay.
As gunfire comes streaking out. But nope, nothing hits. Yeah. Gunfire is thrown backwards out of the ship, but unfortunately for them, it mostly simply sails around your vessel, or what few bullets do hit plink harmlessly off the outer hull of your Quilla lander.
Yeah.
And it is now your turn.
So another agility to line up my ship.
Yes, if you're wanting to take another shot on his tail.
I'm imagining all the little snippets of, like, side drama of where all those shots are landing within the Hive.
Oh, you're certainly causing a commotion amongst the Hive. And now, speaking of which, you've been traveling for such a length of time that you can see the mountainous construction of stacked Hive City looming ahead of you, like some leviathan beast rising from the waters. Very soon, it will become the case of the city will become practically too immaneuverable to track him in, and you'll either have to give up the ghost or hunt him down at another turn. So, yes.
And so, any modifiers to this roll?
If you succeed on a +10 pilot check, so that'd be an agility check, that will affect your shooting, and I will explain how.
Yes, I succeed.
Okay, so you're firing semi-auto, fully auto, or single shot?
Single shot again.
Okay, not a cold shot, though. It's going to let it land where it lands.
I'm trying to remember. Cold shot does -10, I believe.
It's a -20 for a cold shot.
-10 for being...
Most likely I'm going to go for the engine. So aiming cold shot for the engine.
Okay, so that's going to be a total of a -40 with a +30, so it's going to be a -10 overall there.
Okay, -10. Aiming for the engine. Come on! Yes!
Yeah!
Hey.
There we go.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice. Would you like to roll your damage?
Yep, let me get that up.
Ooh, very nice shot there. So with a penetration value of 4. I think, is it 4? Yes, it's 4 for autocannon. Knocks it down to 5. So, is that... I find it, because it's got so many D10s, does it generate Emperor's Fury? I never went over that rule with myself.
It's impact, so I don't know if impact does Emperor's Fury. Yeah.
All attacks do Emperor's Fury. Well, the issue is the 1 and the 10. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you. So if you can succeed on another flat ballistic skill check, you will stack your damage and do critical damage.
Yay. So, normal. No.
Nope, but do you want to roll me 1d5?
Okay.
Ooh.
What does the 5 mean?
I will tell you. So, you watch as you launch a single shot towards the vessel. The round shakes the small Aquila land as you all feel the chunk, poof, as it fires. And the soft, bright tracer of the round gaily cavorts the 60 meters across to the enemy ship before smashing right between wing and engine. It doesn't puncture the engine, though it does force a gout of black smoke out of its rear tailpipe, and Utobix, you probably wince at such horrible mistreatment of the Emperor's machines. But all the same, you would notice expressly that where Palladorius has managed to land a strike is right in the hydraulics for its wings. The rest of you notice that he's punctured its hydraulics line, both when oil splatters the windscreen alongside the crimson, giving you quite an impressive bit of artistry across the front of the ship. But most importantly, when the vessel does not jink, does not turn, and the gunner fires back. So it's a minus 20, plus 20, plus 10 for being at short range.
Hydraulics are pierced. They're essentially flying straight.
And as the gun streaks worthless gunfire out of the rear, your detection control systems begin to blare, Palladorius, and you sweep the vessel off to a corner, just sweeping it in a long, graceful arc around a passing spire. Unfortunately, your target doesn't have the grace to do so. And you watch as the Aquila Lander, sorry, not the Aquila Lander, as the Arvis Lander powderizes a set of grotesques, punching straight through a corner of the spire and shearing off most of its wing in a great fireworks display of sparks and throwing out great gouts of flaming fuel as it streaks down out of the atmosphere, the scant, short 100 or so meters to the streets below, where you watch with a pretty bloom of fire as it punches into the solid earth of one of the passing roadways.
You best get down there quick and hope that's containment field held.
Yeah. Flying down close to the crash site, trying to get the back of the ship towards the crash site, so when I lower it, they can go right out to the crash site.
Okay, do you want to give me a check at an agility check at a -5, please?
Agility check -5. Oh my! I'm gonna use a fate point to reroll that.
Probably should.
There we go.
Okay. You keep cutting it bloody close, lad. So you swing the vessel around into the tight confines, and you ultimately, all of you hear the scraping as the vessel takes chunks out of the walls either side of its flanking wings. But with a little bit of hydraulic pull, you manage to stabilize the wings and pull them in a little tighter as the vessel descends towards its landing spot. The roadway mostly cleared by the massive crater formed by the crashing Arvis Lander. Both of you were near tactical speed, and the impact was rather spectacular. Smoke is billowing from burned and tormented pieces of metal, and the rear ramp slams onto the roadway just outside of a unfortunately mangled hab crawler. There were casualties, that much was obvious, but you really didn't expect as much.
Who cares?
You would never know these people's names otherwise, and it looks like the crowd has done as Hive crowds do. They have gathered at a safe distance, but only a small portion has actually stopped to watch. A small portion of that is pickpocketing those that have stopped to watch the affair, and the rest are carrying on their merry way, as the vessel's smouldering ruins lie ahead of you. The captain leads the clamp down the ramp onto the choked air of the smoggy, smoke-rolled city street. And what were you going to say there, Solarius?
Well, at least I haven't already begun looting.
No, they'll keep their distance if they know what's good for them.
I'd like to say I'm trailing the captain pretty tightly, and I've already got my pistols out of my arms.
The captain is simply
still
resting
in the seat for a quick getaway here.
The captain
Probably need that.
Sorry, go on.
Probably need that for when the RBTs show up.
The captain is simply resting a hand on the handle of his plasma pistol as he leads the step across the open ground, as his other hand is mostly preoccupied with wafting away the smoke as you step into the wreckage. All right, fan out. See if you can find where the thing came to a halt and pray to the throne and the Emperor's shiniest golden balls that the thing is still intact. So, would everyone like to make me some perception checks?
Perception?
But of
Because
course.
no one has scrutiny or search.
Okay, so just perception. Okay.
Any modifiers?
Minus 15 due to the heavy smoke rising from the crash site.
Why do I
Okay,
do?
so that'll be
Affect me that much?
1.7 degrees of success.
Will that affect me assuming I don't have eyes to see smoke?
Yes, you won't suffer the difficulty imposed by that there. What's your name? Verana.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Charming.
But you still fail with a 99. You're mostly too overcome by the clogging, gagging smoke that's filled the air to really focus on your sight without sight as the crew picks through the wreckage. Romulus, you... Sorry, yes?
I'm consistently distracted by bits of damaged and tortured tech.
No,
So.
my kin.
My toaster
No.
brothers.
My toaster.
So, as you pick through the wreckage, most of you are caught off guard when the captain's search upturns what appears to be a survivor of the disastrous thing. A single mangled hand reaches out of the ruined slag and clawed metal. But unfortunately for all of you, the captain shoots the man before he can even offer a moment's solace. The thing that attracts your attention is literally the fact that the plasma gun discharges in the middle of the search effort.
Captain,
Oh, come now. Do you have time for interrogations? We've got a
we could have
box to
dragged
find.
him home with us.
And use him for what? A footstool?
Well, yes.
I wouldn't wish on even just... These men are hired guns. I wouldn't wish servitorization on them, as much as I imagine Utopics would like to experiment with that.
Well, it's good to know who hired them, though, Lord Captain.
Well, we know that, don't we?
And we could, pay them.
Anyway.
Meanwhile, Romulus, as you pick through the rubble, you don't yet find the... Well, you do find the secure case It's interesting when you find it, in fact, for you simply throw aside what remains of the rear panel door with a little bit of hard heaving and find that the case is marvelously intact. The golden exterior, picked out with brass, ivory inlays and a smaller paneling of wood over what you can only imagine as some very sturdy material, seems to have been untouched. Yet, strangely, the small spires that extended to the servitors that would carry it have been completely snapped, and the servitors are spread across a larger surface area than a human body should be spread.
Okay. I'm going to call over to the rest of the group. Over here! As I start moving the debris off to make it easier to move out.
Okay.
Nice one. So, Captain, are we going to bring this back to the Admiral and hope that in his kindness he'll give it to us? Or are we just going to pinch it?
What do you think?
Good-o.
Palador just screams out, just grab the damn thing and get back in here.
As you're pulling aside the debris to give it clear enough space that your group can start maneuvering it, you do notice one thing, Romulus, astride from everything else. You notice that lying in amongst the tattered wreckage appears to be a data slate, though the screen is cracked.
I'll grab the data slate.
Okay, so you pick up the damaged data slate, and by that time the rest of the crew has gathered around the massive case, to which the captain whistles a soft lament. Oh, that looks a little heavier than I was expecting. I guess I was a little bit foolish to expect that the servitors would have survived this.
Well, there's 4 of us here.
You can make an attempt, at least.
Yes, roll up your sleeves then.
I'm not built for this heavy lifting stuff.
There's
And I certainly don't have the face for manual labor, but I'm going to have to do it anyway.
a slight mechanical whine as my pistols slip back into my arms.
So, all 4 of you immediately gather around all of the sides of the crate. And you discover immediately that you can't shift it just flat. This thing, just for some context, weighs 1,000 kilograms.
Easy.
Damn.
But, fortunately for you, with the captain included, if you call over Paladorius, I did the maths prior to today's game, you have a combined push strength, just push, of 1,068, sorry.
Okay.
Just over the necessary amount.
Thank you for doing the calculation before the session, Smudges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would take us a while.
And I have
could
worked
do-
out as well, because the issue that lies is you've got to push it through the debris.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a strength check, you can put yourselves up 1 point on that, so it would only need, I think, half of you to succeed on a strength check in order to lift it and carry it to the cargo bay. That includes Paladorius.
I'm confident I can.
Okay.
Yes, it means you, Paladorius. Leave the engines idling and get out here and move this thing.
Get out of the seats. I rush over, being careful when going through the debris. Yeah, but getting
Nearly
to them.
stand on the plasma-burned remains of that unfortunate gentleman who survived the crash.
Let's hope none of these scum try and pinch our ship, eh?
I think they're a bit wiser than that. Anyway, on my count...
As we hear the engines start cycling.
3, 2, 1, heave! Flat +0 strength check from all of you.
Oh, nice.
Oh, perfect. Just enough of you succeed, but I'm also going to have the captain make his check. Ooh, he fails it. But fortunately, all that were needed to succeed, because it's only to push yourself up by 1 point, all that was needed to succeed is done. And so you, gentlemen, lift the massive case. And something you immediately notice, Utobix, is as you lay your Electu inductors upon it, that you can feel a strange drain from this. If you want to give me a tech, a common law tech at a minus 30, you might be able to figure out why that is. As you can feel the electus kind of, it's like a staticky effect between your touch and the material, and it's not just a machine static.
Okay. Damn it.
No, unfortunately, you don't succeed. But
I repaid roll it.
do you have common law tech? No, you don't have electus, so you really wouldn't notice this immediately, is my argument. You can fate point that if you want, Tobix.
I have a feeling
I
like...
would advise it. You're going to have time aplenty to study it, I imagine.
Yeah, that's probably fair. It doesn't feel like it's an immediate concern.
No, it's not like it's sucking your soul out through your fingertips.
Yeah, it's like I touch, it's like, oh, that's a lot of electricity.
Yeah, it's strangely energetic.
Okay.
It's not sucking your soul out.
Yet.
So, latching your arms underneath it and using the remains of the servitor spikes as a carrying system, you haul the massive chest up into the air, and waddling amongst yourselves, the captain has a sudden thought as you are all making your way back towards the cargo ship. Just as you drop the thing onto the deck of the Aquila Lander, now officially making it a tight squeeze inside, the captain goes, I could have just told some of those starers to help, shouldn't I?
Can't trust them, Captain.
I won't lie, I had thought of it as well, but at the same time, can we trust them?
Yes, Lord Captain. Yes, Lord Captain, I'd prefer just to focus on work rather than to also watch my pockets.
Fair point. Anyway.
Back into the driver's seat, raising the ramp and getting those engines pumping.
Aye, pat yourselves on the back, lads. We've got it in our pocket, even if we didn't quite win the auction.
I would like to begin examining it immediately with what I have available to me.
Okay, what do you have that you think would help on that?
Let's see. I do have my combi tool on me.
That's for machine work more than like analyzing, I'd say.
Okay.
This I would probably argue, this I would probably argue is an archaeotech check.
Okay.
To give it a full analysis, but I'm going to give it a +0 because these things, while rare, they aren't as rare by... Actually, here's an idea. I will just check its rarity and use that as a benchmark for how likely you are to know what it is. Extremely rare, so that would be a -20 typically, but given that archaeotech is like... That's a +0 archaeotech.
Okay. That's...
Identify this thing. Hey, there we go.
It's almost like archaeotech's my specialty.
So, Palladorius, would you mind giving me just a quick agility check as the captain urges? Right. So bring us up in a low, sloping ascent. We don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves. It's literally just going to be a +10. It's nice and easy. It's just mostly for roleplay purposes, the captain urges, and bring us out over the ocean. We don't want to really disturb the space, the flight paths of the spaceport with our less than scheduled departure.
Aye, sir. Bring it up and fly us out of the hive.
Yeah, so soon enough you leave these stunned onlookers in the dust, with a bit of a tale to go back and tell their families, those that survived at least. In the meantime, as the vessel is gliding up through atmosphere, the captain collapses into the observation dome's comfortable throne and spins back to face the rest of you who are either sitting strapped in, or I imagine Utobix is probably prodding about the captured case.
That would be correct.
Okay.
So, what are we going to tell the Admiral, Cap?
That's a very good question, Hive Factorum. What are you going to tell the Admiral?
Well, we did leave the party in a hurry, and they probably all saw us chase after them. And then when they find the downlander with no map inside, they're going to know that we got it.
But it's not theft, is it? It's liberation.
It is stealing if you steal from a thief.
I could argue that in his grace, we were most likely to get the map fragment anyway, and that we'll still pay for it, what we offered.
That would be a good one. But if we could get out of it without paying what we offered, would be even better.
True.
Because
Our
it wasn't really
like that.
it wasn't my thrones to offer in the first place, so any saving that we can make the Manchenko dynasty is really a saving for ourselves, and a saving of our Grok's hide while we're at it.
Well, I can hardly just give him the old, well, we saved it from them, so finders keepers.
We could simply not contact him at all. I mean, once we leave planet, who says we even have to stay here? I hate the air on Constantine.
True.
Oh.
It would mean burning bridges, though, Captain.
Yes, good point. We do still need to collect from Vanderkampf.
And it might cause more problems later down the line.
Indeed.
Well, I did manage to recover, and I pull up the damage pages like this from the crash site. I did a quick swipe before we left the place. Was much wreckage.
Utobix?
Damage, you say? Hand it over, please.
I hand it over to you, Tobix.
So do you want to give me a common law tech at a plus 20?
Wow.
It looks like the damage
so
is relatively superficial. The screen has been shattered by the impact, but it doesn't look like it suffered too much corruption. It has seen some heat damage, as attested to by some of the warping in its casing, but you expect that with a little bit of your own equipment, you should be able to drag the data off of it relatively uncorrupted, once you get back to the ship at least. Or if you could, fight Palladorius for his seat. And just use the onboard cogitators. But you don't imagine there's that much of a hurry.
This should be fairly simple to rip its data. It's not overly damaged. However, I can't really do it here. I had another idea.
Oh?
What about with the map? Same thing. We rip its data, and then leave them with, the map.
Well, the issue first, Utobix, is we're going to need to get the box open, and then we're going to have to hand over the maps to House Zayan so that they can make copies and then distribute the copies to the rest of the house. And then we could probably give them the map scrolls back. It's not exactly a copy and paste thing, given the fact that these are charts. Well, what's it? Close to 5 centuries old now? There's a reason they're in a stasis chamber or whatever that is. Have you got any word on that, by the way, Utobix? And it's at this point, Utobix, that you can answer. For your cursory examination has confirmed this to be a void coffer, which has made your heart sink. Because a void coffer is not a cheap bit of equipment. As described, they are extremely rare. And what is unique about void coffers is, as well as a mechanical lock that functions to keep the material inside safe, they also have a void shield generator enclosed with a small, isolated, decaying radium charge. Basically meaning that this thing has a void shield permanently until it is deactivated by the appropriate, typically gene-locked key or necessary materials. And void coffers are strong enough to shrug off a significant amount of gunfire. There's many cases of vessels being completely destroyed by enemy actions and void coffers belonging to the captains still surviving untouched amongst the wreckage. Given the fact this only had tertiary attachments for the servitors, you realize that the bits that haven't been touched must be enclosed within the void shield. And it explains why the void shield was drawing energy from you when you were placing your hands to clasp upon it.
This, sir, is a void coffer, which explains why it didn't take any serious damage in the crash. In fact, well, its continent could there are no continents in that statement.
If this is gene locked, won't it be gene locked to the
Admiral?
no, to the winner of the auction?
Was it gene locked though? I don't remember him.
No,
Didn't he
they
say
didn't
he was passing over codes for it?
Generally,
To the winner of the auction.
generally speaking, they are gene coded. Whether or not this one's been activated or anything's been transcribed is anyone's guess, really.
Might just be locked down permanently, given the hell it's been through.
Mayhaps, but if it's locked to the brother, well, the brother's blood's smeared all over that ballroom. We'd only need a sample.
I could probably make that
If they
happen.
haven't cleaned it already.
If they haven't cleaned it all up, of course.
Which, given the likelihood of murders happening in these kind of events, I don't imagine the blood would have lasted long.
No, but
And we do need to do, the short hour or two turnaround to get ourselves dusted off on the ship before I'm going to be willing to stand the air of that planet again.
it's all right, Cap. We'll worry about getting into it later, eh?
Did any of
Well,
us
I was
get,
just wondering if you could get into it, Utopics.
did,
I mean, you're a handly one with technology. Surely you should be able to overload the shields. I'm not exactly one to fire a broadside at the thing, but surely there's some artificial way to do that.
I was just wondering, did any of us get sprayed with the brother's blood before we left the party chamber? It wouldn't
I
need
don't
much
think
for
we were
me to
close
get.
enough.
I think we were all too far away when the shots were fired.
If you'd like, you can identify specifically how this thing is locked down.
Yeah, sure, I can start
Do you
tinkering
have
with that.
security?
Let me see.
I know you have security, Decker, but
Mine's all mechanical and stuff.
yeah. Yours would help with the internal lock, because it does have a mechanical lock aspect. It's just the void shield seal.
I do not have security. Looking at what else I
I'll
have.
let you do it on a tech use then, but it's going to be a difficult -10 tech use.
Okay. Can I apply my combi tool to that?
Yes, you can.
All right,
This
so
is
that
one case that it helps.
that would negate that then. So a flat 0.
Flat 0 tech use.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There we go.
So, as you glide out of the atmosphere now, you all immediately feel the soft shuffle as the grav plates take hold and you move into 0G. It's slightly inaccurate given the lower gravities of Constantine, but you barely notice the shift. You've been through 0G changes enough in your lives at this point. As the vessel will now start the long sweep around towards where the Mallum Melodium sits in dock. And during this time, Utopic, as you continue to search around the large crate, you discover that its security systems have clearly been activated by a significant impact. And that is concerning. Yes, well, obviously the security systems have been activated, but I mean it's gone into lockdown of sorts. And what this means for you is you don't think the original owner could probably open it up. One of the issues with void-locked cases, void coffers like this, as described, when they are recovered from destroyed starships, quite often only those with a masterful grasp of technology stand any chance of opening the vessel's boxes. But prior to that, you do notice that it seems to have had a specific set of machine incantations for you detect you locate a small number of input ports for spoken audio. It looks like you simply had to speak the right incantations to the machine and it would unlock itself.
Doesn't our ship, as I'd expect, like most large ships have, a specific tech priest that oversees the void shields of the ship, the void shield generators?
You would have a tech priest who would be assigned to your void shield generators, yes.
Okay.
Typically, given the fact that your ship has multiple void shield arrays, you will probably have a number of what would they be called?
Genitoriums?
No, because while they are void shield genitoriums, that would get very confusing with the plasma genitoriums that the Drive Master oversees. There was a word for shield that was in my head, but Shield Master should work just as well for the time being.
Chief Aegis Officer?
Aegis Masters.
Aegis Masters, okay.
Something to that effect.
Right.
I'm sure I'll have something for you outside of today's session, but off the top of my head, Aegis Masters will be a worthy substitute until I can put some Forks Latin in there.
Captain, I think that if we were planning on returning to the ship momentarily anyway, I believe a concord of our Aegis Masters and I might be able to find a way to break through this void shield.
Well, it's about the only hope we've got, isn't it?
It definitely seems so. This thing is on lockdown. Anything short of opening its seal the way it wants to be, or thermonuclear strikes, is not going to do it.
Thermo what? Okay. Well, if the
Thermonuclear is a fucking term in 40K, damn it.
Thermonuclear, well, typically atomics aren't used that much in 40K. They're generally an unknown thing. They are considered unwieldy and a bit dirty. Kind of, yeah. Well, no, not dirty, because the Imperium regularly uses things like plasma, but it's the fact that they have far more effective things like plasma. It's like using a sharp stick when you have a handgun in comparison. Though the Mechanicus does use specialist...
the Mechanicus uses rad weapons, atomics, all types of that
which
shit. It's actually fairly common.
They refer to as the light invisible rather than radiation. Which is weird that they still call it rad weaponry. Because, like I said, they call it the light invisible. But yes.
Well, I mean, calling them invisible guns would be kind of weird, too.
This is a bit of a tangent.
Yes, but it's lore, damn it, and that's what people come here for.
Yeah.
So, if this is openable with verbal commands, maybe I could get the codes out of the Admiral. Even so, let's get it home first, eh?
Right, exactly. So, unless anyone has anything more they'd like to go over before we return to the Mallum Melodium?
What about what do we do with the younger brother? I think he'll be back.
Yes, he won't be happy.
Yeah.
And he'll probably know that it was us, the same as all the other party guests will.
Well,
so we'll probably run into him sooner rather than later, given.
We'll see what we can gather from that data slate. It'll provide more information on what's happened.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if everyone thought that it was us that pulled us off in the first place.
Yeah.
If we got the whole blame for it.
Wouldn't be surprising, I suppose.
We did leave the room just before the explosion, and then return, and then leave again with the captain.
I'm sure if they have pick captures around that place, as you'd imagine, there's more than enough evidence to clear us of that charge.
Something tells me that if someone wanted to frame us, they conveniently lost footage. Anyway, this is all speculation, so let's see.
So, we will have a short pause now as you glide towards your grand vessel. We will take our break for now, as the Mallum Melodium in all its ramshackle glory comes into view, and you begin to glide towards the officers' docking bays on the command spire of the ship.
Remember to punch that like button in the face. and
next time we come back, Deckard will no longer be joining us because I will have strangled him to death. Twice.